The way it achieves the floating house effect is really through engineering and structure. What I find most exciting about architecture is that it combines the technology of it, which is the engineering side, in the structural engineering, and then you have the artistic side. And at the same time, it's a place that you live in. My name is Chan Lee Lin. I'm an architect. This is a weekend house, and Denise and I worked on this house together.
We worked on the house together, but we did kind of take on our professional roles in the development of this house, which meant that I had total veto power.
Yes, I draw, she bosses around architects. Yes. I think it's a natural thing for most architects. I think we do most of our work for other people with other people's money. I think we all want to do it once, at least to do a house or something for ourselves.
It was Memorial Day weekend in 2009. We were in Katonah, New York. We had located that area because of all the lakes, because of the commuting distance. We walked into a real estate, one of like 5 on the main street there, and said, we're looking for land. And they kind of looked at us like we were crazy. Within a week, it was clear that we weren't going to find land that, 1, we could afford to build on, or 2, was actually viable and buildable in that community. The broker said, well, maybe you want to consider a distressed property. Yeah. I think that's how he phrased it.
We saw some burnt down house, flooded house, houses with lots of problems, but you could take on if you are willing. And we found this property that was basically had not been lived in for about 15 years. It had holes in the roof and animals living in it. And for us, it was perfect.
Welcome to our home. This is the north side of the house. This is our main entry. We are standing in front of the volume of our stair, which connects the first and second floor. You will notice the first floor is much smaller than the second floor, which cantilevers out both east and west. As we walk to the entry, you'll see that we kept the higher quality wood down below, so you could really see up close the grain of the wood as you're entering the house.
Doors are very simple commercial grade storefront doors, but we added this leather wrapping to the handle so that in the winter it feels not so cold, but it has a very nice warm tactile quality to it.
He made this out of his belt.
Hey.
This is our entrance. As you come in, you can see straight through to the backyard here. You can actually see straight through the bedroom. The bedroom intentionally is 1 foot lower than the main entry level, partially to kind of root into the ground and partially to allow for the upper deck to be lower than the living room so that when you look out sitting in the living room, you're not obstructed by railings. We'll go into the other bedroom. It's really no different than the other bedroom next door, except for the view. Here's really where we wanted to nestle this bedroom down into this rock and fern garden outside, which is lovely, and we had nothing to do with the design. We really set the house within the existing context. This was here, and we fell in love with that landscape. So this is the stair hall. This is the second wall that has literally 2 columns anchoring down, I don't know how many feet down? 10 feet, 20
about 10
feet,
feet. Yeah.
Down into bedrock. And then if you come up the stairs, part of the design of the house was wanting to kind of always connect you back to nature and to keep you oriented as to where you were. And one reason for this window looking down into the carport is keeping you connected to nature and to the site, which is really what we fell in love with the house. This is our second floor, and if you come off the stair and turn to the right, which is turning to the east, you will come into our dining room.
Beyond here is all cantilevered. We are basically above the carport and looking over the backyard.
And if you come here and you're at the windows, we have morning coffee here next to the windows, the sun's coming in. You really do feel like you're floating here. From here, we'll walk west to the main living area. This is our main living space. We designed this very much to be casual, comfortable, entertain friends. Everybody's always in the kitchen when you're entertaining, so this was designed in a way that we could still be part of the party when we're in the kitchen.
This is the main living space of the house on the second floor. And as you can see, it's a very casual, open social space for entertaining and relaxing.
Yeah, we have definitely more furniture than needed, than the space deserves.
When we went to visit one of the neutral houses in LA, what he did was to use a lot of mirrors to expand the space. And that's one place we got an idea to place mirrors in strategic places so that the ceiling above us feels like it extends. Of course, you see the ceiling there, but there's no slope ceiling beyond this wall. But the mirror helps you visually trick your eye and make the rooms appear much larger than this. Half the time during the summer and the warmer months, it's great to be able to come in and out through these doors and entertain or just relax inside and outside. You can see how being elevated one floor here is really a big plus here. You're in a zone of the trees and surrounded by nature.
So if we come this way, we'll go into the primary bedroom, which is really where we spend all of our time. You've just crossed through the threshold to being on the cantilever on the west side. You will see the western view. It feels like you're floating again.
Floor-to-ceiling windows, wall-to-wall, and at the end of the cantilevers, that really accentuates the fact that you are above the ground floor by one floor.
You can look back to the studio, which is the addition we built, the studio garage. The studio seems to be a one-story structure there. Because of the terrain, the garage is below grade and built into the hillside. All four of these pieces are from my uncle, who made furniture, was very handy, was a great artist, and used automotive paint actually to make these paintings. So, which is good because we get some intense sun on the western side, and the artwork doesn't suffer for it.
We studied multiple schemes before we landed on the house that you just saw. This was one of the first ones. We were trying to save the original 1,100 square foot house that was here on the site. But we went away from the idea of saving that original house because no matter what you do to it, it will be very much limited by the small structural grid that it had. And then we said, okay, we're not going to save the house. We had this idea that, well, if you really like the second floor, why don't we put everything on the second floor? So what we have here is a scheme that has the same living room that you saw, and the kitchen and the master bedroom, but two other bedrooms and a study that is all elevated on the eastern end of the property.
With the Board of Health, if we wanted to avoid a full-blown public hearing, we could only relocate one bedroom.
One of the bedrooms.
Upstairs, as opposed to all three. So
yeah, so in this case, all the bedrooms that used to be on the ground floor, like in this one, has to go upstairs, and so that we saw that as another challenge. So this is pretty much what we built, with two bedrooms down below and one bedroom on one end, dining room that you saw, and a living room and a kitchen under the tall volume. This model was built for me by an artist, Takeshi Miyakawa, who is a very good friend of ours, and he brought it for me on my 50th birthday. What's
not here and what wasn't here with the original house is, again, the garage studio that sits here. You can see the terrain. This really afforded us the opportunity to kind of tuck the garage into the earth and build the studio where we're sitting on the first floor. So it really does align with this first floor of the house. And for the regulatory reasons, we had to connect the two structures with a covered walkway, which I think is a very nice architectural touch. It's almost Japanese in some ways. What makes the floating aspect possible is a steel structure and a very significant foundation that pins the steel structure into the ground so that the house is stable during the wind. And what you don't see, which we were very, very careful to do, was to design a steel structure in a way such that the steel members are very, very small and basically disappears into what looks like a conventional 2x6 walls. If you look at the structural drawing of it, this house is basically two parallel trusses
that are supported by very small foundations with two ends cantilevering from the foundation about 20 feet on each end. A good engineering makes things look easy, and that's what we're trying to achieve with the design of the house. Now, the biggest windows are here. This is 33 feet long, and it is a source of the most natural light. It's facing directly south. During the winter, the sun comes all the way back into the back wall of the living room and heats up the house. In the summer, as you can see, no sun comes in. So that's one main room, and then bedroom faces west and the dining room faces east. Each have a completely different view on the sunlight conditions. We chose a dark shade of color for the top, and it's black. The idea was to make it look like it blends into the shadow of the trees that we have here, so that it doesn't really stand out. It's not a huge house, but you can see we have probably 18 chairs here, and we can comfortably, okay, it's too many.
Too many chairs.
We can comfortably entertain 20, 30 people easily, and in a way that connects the outdoors in the terraces to this big room very seamlessly. So I think for me that's one of the best part of the house. You're comfortable if you're alone, or you're comfortable with many of your friends, or you're comfortable with a bunch of furniture that you collected over the years.
Yes. We actually have really appreciated, especially living in New York City much of the time, just the wildlife we have here: birds, fox, deer. Supposedly we have bear. We haven't seen those, but
Lucky.
I think this house surprises people because from the outside, it looks very modern. Whether it's off-putting or intimidating to people who have an impression about what a modern house is, I think once they come inside, there's a level of warmth and comfort. And I think that's from the materials and the use of and the structuring of the light, and certainly the surrounding trees and the woods coming in.
It's a dream house. I have many more.
Yes. It's a great house.
It's a great house.
We see the flaws and what we could do better because that's who we are, and we're critics of every structure we ever see. But
we've done very well with this house.
Yeah, we're
it's
very happy.
One of the dream houses.
Yeah, I would say that. More to come.